the common thing that I hear is that people say, well, there's God, and then there's our world, which is imperfect because it has human beings, and they're not choosing to be aligned with God, right? And that's why the world is the way it is. And everybody would accept and align with God, then what would be better? But it doesn't really matter because I'm going to go to heaven. Okay. But you are here. So what would it mean to be in alignment with God then? What would that actually practically mean? And if you take, for example, the principles of Jesus, and this is not trying to use someone's belief against them, like, oh, well, if you really believed in God, then you would do this. No, it's like if God actually is a reality and the principles of Jesus actually apply, then how do you apply them to the utmost? How do you apply them to the degree that Jesus would want to? And here I notice you get to a common objection where people will say, well, Jesus was the only person who was perfect, and we can only be a flawed imitation of him, right? Like he was the one that was perfect and I can't be perfect like him. Okay. So then the next question would be, so do you just then say, well, fuck it. I mean, I'm just going to go and sin all the time then. Like there's no point to even attempt to do anything best. No, you don't do that. You say, well, no, I'm going to try to get close to Jesus, at least as close as I can. But then the question is, what is your limit within that? So in other words, what if you were able to look at all of the fears that you have, all of the emotional stuff, and you would be able to be honest with yourself and forgive yourself and actually let go of those things, and then see how much closer you can get to actually applying the principles that Jesus said, which was to love your neighbor as yourself. What would it mean to love your neighbor as yourself? Wouldn't that mean to, like, for example, if you have children and you don't feed them, can you say that you love them?
No.
If you have the ability to and you just don't do it, or if it's like within reach but you just don't make the effort.
Yeah.
So isn't every person in this world our neighbor? Whether we realize that or not, it's clearly the case. You know, even if they don't live next door to you, even if you never see them, they're still your neighbor. They're still on the same planet. So if it was possible for us to put a system in place on Earth, you know, like Amazon Prime next day delivery system, that's what I mean by system, something that actually makes things happen in an automated, predictable way. If we were to put that in place and everybody could get fed, everybody could have clean water, everyone could have proper nutrition, everyone could get the best education possible. At a bare minimum, wouldn't that be love your neighbor as yourself without any limit? Like love literally every neighbor as yourself. Provide them with what you would want to provide your own children, or literally your next door neighbor.